Gurubhyo Namah.
शुभम अखंडमंडलाकारं व्याप्तं येन चराचरं तत्पदं दर्शितं येन तस्मै श्री गुरवे नमः. अज्ञानतिमिरान्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मीलितं येन तस्मै श्री गुरवे नमः. O the radiant youth, you are the dawn in a world that yearns for light. Within you burns a fire not meant to be hidden, which is the fire of courage, the fire of compassion, and the fire of purpose. Do not be disheartened by the weight of the world. It is not your burden to carry it alone, but your opportunity to illuminate it. Let your thoughts be noble, let your words be healing, and let your actions be just. The world needs not only your strength, but your sincerity, not only your ambition, but your kindness and compassion. You are not born merely to fit in, but to lift, to shape, and to awaken. So rise with clarity, walk with humility, speak with the truth, and love unconditionally without fear. And let no one try to convince you that your light is too small to matter. Shine on, O radiant youth. Let us start the satsang now.
Yes, Guruji.
Yeah.
The first question, Guruji. Guruji, I heard from you once Leela Vruttanta, the story of Leela and Padma, and everything about the rebirths, desires leading to other realms of reality, etc. Could you please explain it in the Youth Satsang? More than the story, I am seeking how desires, in brackets, though we think we are Sathwik and deserve to be having this, obtaining this, but this is also only the play, and every desire is finally a bondage?
Yoga Vasishtha Utpatti Prakarana Leela Vruttanta. The whole reality of this existence and ideation and the reality behind it. It's not just enough to mention about this in one satsang, not even 10 satsangs. If I have to say, this is more than Ramayana, that Valmiki's Yoga Vasishtha, between the Samvada, the debate between Vasishtha and Rama. So very profound. And that too in the Utpatti Prakaranam of the Yoga Vasishtha, the Leela Vruttanta, that depicts the whole, the reality of this existence. And it is also not easily understandable. And I want, especially the questioner and also the all others, they have to be very, very attentive. Despite being attentive, it is not easy to be comprehensible, but yet, it can be a beginning for you to understand this, though at times you may lose. So this is very important that every word connects to each other about the Leela Vruttanta, about the reality of this existence. So this question is, I'm not taking this as a merely like a Leela Vruttanta being a story, but not as a story hour. The question cuts to the very hinge on which the whole delusive world swings, the samsara swings. We grow up hearing desire is natural, especially if it is Sathwika. We assume that noble desires, noble services, knowledge, achievements are harmless. Yet the sages warn, any desire that sets a separateness certainly binds. I once again repeat that, especially the questioner and everyone else, those who are keen to know the response for this, to be very, very attentive not to get distracted. And any wave that forgets the ocean must return as wave again and again. Understanding this is urgent, especially for the youth, because desire is dynamic energy. If misdirected, it chains the mind to subtler and subtler dreams. if consecrated and understood, it becomes the very wind that fills the sails towards liberation. The Yoga Vasishtha does not demonize desire. The Yoga Vasishtha does not demonize the desire. It reveals its texture and shows how to wield it as sadhana until it dissolves in the stillness from which it arose. I am giving a pause. This is very important specifically for the youth to understand where the youth feels lost. And now, I cannot just give a very brief story of Leela Vruttanta. At least to some extent, there needs to be a justification for all you to understand. So in the Utpatti Prakarana of the Yoga Vasishtha, the Lilopakshana, which is the Saptadasha Sarga, the 17th Sarga, what a wonderful profundity, if understood and contemplated and comprehended and lived. Nobody can touch you. Nobody can be cause of your pain. Nor even you cannot be cause of your own pain. And it says, it begins with Shri Devyuvacha Chittakasham Chidakasham Akasham Chatrutiyakam. There are 3 dimensions, 3 realms. Tvabhyam sunyataram vidhe chidakasham varanane. I'm just started with this sloka, that's all. But I'm not going in, it's not 1 satsang, not 2 satsangs, not even 10 satsangs is enough. Only for Leela Vruttanta. That which gives us the reality of this existence. Sri Rama says to Vasishtha, "Oh, my dear Gurudev, Vasishtha, you declare that." I'm just going to the context of this Utpatti Prakarana Saptadasha Sarga. It cannot be looked in isolation, but because I'm just confining to this question about Leela Vruttanta and Padma, her husband, and the Saraswati, Jagadamba Saraswati, who graces the disciple Leela with the truth of this existence, that which we all also crave for. And Rama asked, "Oh Vasishtha, I think this satsang will take just this question." I think so. Let us see. And Rama says, "Oh my beloved Gurudev, Vasishtha, you declare that there is no cause of the universe and its objects." There is a context there actually. I am not going back to that context. But this Utpatti Prakarana of the Leela Vruttanta, what it starts with, I am just mentioning. There is no Srishtikarta, O Vasishtha, you said previously, and no primeval being. Yet I inquire, who then sustains the sentient and inert? Who regulates this play of forms? If there is none to govern, why do the jivas differ in intelligence, in strength, and in virtue? As I said, you need to be very attentive with each of these words. Sometimes you may not be able to connect, some of you. But yet, do not worry. Just try to listen and try to understand with more focus. And then Vasishtha replied, "Now, O my beloved Rama, the primeval jiva of which you speak is but an aspect of the truth, absolute truth, which you all know. Eternally pure, Shuddha, and omnipotent, and omniscient and omnipresent, and self-existent, Swatantra. And the Parabrahma is free from the notion of creation, yet by its omnipotence, the primeval modification manifests as life, and this modification is the universe perceived." Try to understand this. So in truth, it is the absolute or the Paramatma, what we call, manifesting as the universe. Nothing else has been created. Nothing else has been created. So the primeval modification, the Adivikara, assumes variegated forms. And this is called Brahma, whose power of ideation Understanding? It's the power of the Brahma, of the ideation, which is the Srishti, that establishes order, dharma, and even adharma, and the measure of wisdom or ignorance among the beings. I'm giving a little pause. To understand this Yoga Vasishtha, one needs to be into a certain level of understanding. That is the reason this is a very profound question, I say. So rest of others, those who are trying to understand, just try to understand. Just as a rope in darkness is mistaken for a snake, what we call as the Rajju Sarpa Bhranti, so is the illusory universe experienced as real because of ignorance, avidya. So the rope is unchanged, yet the mind's ideation transforms it as the snake. So the universe is the expansion of consciousness and ideation of the primeval being, Adi Jiva, what we call. So, O Rama, my beloved, Vasishtha continued to say, when through prolonged discipline, Rama, when through prolonged discipline you cultivate contemplation of Atma, the delusion of the universe will vanish. Just as one cannot perceive darkness holding a torch, so the illumination of Atma Bodha dispels ignorance. This delusion exists because of the vikara, the modification in the mind, which is an aspect of ideation. So when modification ceases, then becomes Santa Chitta, the delusion also vanishes. Then the pure consciousness, the Shuddha Chetana alone shines, that which already is, which is uncaused, self-established, without any duality. Without any duality. Now consider, my beloved Rama, the dream. It is mental, unreal, yet appears real when dreaming. On waking, the dream dissolves. So similarly, the universe dissolves upon awakening in Atma. Then this becomes the dream. What I think that I am powerful, I want to beat everyone. All this dissolves. That's revealing the Shakti of the truth, the Sat, in even diverse forms and diverse realms. And to illustrate this, Vasishtha says, Rama, I shall recount an episode. This is where Utpatti Prakaranam Leela Vruttanta, Vasishtha starts telling, which will reveal four truths. Expansion of ideation, which is Vikara Prasara. The first one. The second truth is power of ideation, the Shakti, our mental modifications. And experience of a long time in short duration and short in long. Wonderful. Now he started telling the story itself now takes some more time. It is needed for all of us to understand this. So Vasishtha continues to tell Rama, my dear Rama, once upon a time in a righteous realm, there ruled a king called Padma, virtuous, very Satpurusha, and wise. His consort, his wife Leela, was equally devoted, virtuous and loving. Out of deep devotion, Leela performed what? Penance, the tapasya, to Goddess Saraswati. She is an ardent devotee of Goddess Saraswati. Seeking two boons, and Saraswati granted, Jagannatha Saraswati granted her those two boons. What is that? First is that the subtle body, Sukshma Sharira of her husband remain in her palace even despite the body's dead. After his death, that is the first boon she asked for. Look at the profundity of the ideation of the mind. How deeply we get rooted. Second boon is that she may behold the goddess at will. That the moment she thinks of goddess, she shall appear. And the goddess Saraswati granted both the boons. So in due course, King Padma fell in battle, in the battlefield, and the body of the king Padma dead. And now the grieving queen Leela wailed by his body. At that moment, the goddess appeared. Saraswati Amma appeared and saying that, "Oh my beloved Leela, do not grieve. His soul abides in peace in your palace as per my boon that I have already granted you. So cover his body with flowers. They shall remain fresh until you reunite." Leela obeyed and then meditated in the palace besides the dead corpse of her husband Padma. At midnight, the goddess Saraswati appeared again and said, "My beloved gracious Leela, all you see is a delusion, a mithya. Seek peace, not a despair." Leela questions the whereabouts of her husband. She asked goddess Saraswati about the whereabouts of her husband, desiring for the reunion. And the goddess explained, "No, there are three types of spaces, three realms. One is the Bhutakasha, the material space. The second one is the Chittakasha, the mental space, mental dimension. And the third is the Chidakasha, the pure consciousness space." And she started addressing her queries. And Jagannatha Saraswati tells that, "Leela, your husband now abides in the Chittakasha at the mental plane. Just as Chittakasha is sustained by the Chidakasha, the pure consciousness, so when you attain Chidakasha, the cosmos will appear as shadows therein." Try to understand this. So the cognitive potency, what we call as the Pratibhasaka Satta, it transmigrates instantly. This is Chidakasha. So when all ideations cease, at the Bhutakasha, at the physical plane, and even subtle plane, at the mental plane, only Chidakasha remains, supreme, unbound, and free from duality. And Leela, after listening to it, started attaining what we call as the Chitta Shanti, abandoning ego, ahamkara, leaving the Bhutakasha and Chittakasha, both the physical and the mental plane, and even the ego, ahankara, and individuality, soaring like a bird in Chidakasha, where she beheld King Padma, who is now King Viduratha. She has taken in Chidakasha to the shadows of other realms, his capital and court, just like this on earth, which she lived till now for 60,000 years. In the Chidakasha, she saw the shadows of messengers rushing, orders given, armies mobilized. All exactly as King Padma, like he lived on this earth along with her. In the physical plane, she got confused, bewildered. She descended to her palace where the king's body lay. And she has seen him. His body is there, still covered in flowers. But she has been seeing him in the Chidakasha, in the other dimension, which is the real dimension, as the shadows. Now meditating again on the Leela, got confused and started meditating Saraswati Amma. Then again the goddess appeared. Now she says, Jagannatha says, "Oh my dear Leela, what you perceive are shadows, illusions of consciousness, maya of the consciousness, mithya of the consciousness. Just as dreams arise from mind, so does this universe manifest in ideation, your own ideation. Nothing has been truly created." Look at the profundity. If you understand this well, you will know what is that you keep saying all the times in this world. Then Leela reflected, "Oh my dear Mata, effect arises from supportive factors. Without a substratum, effect is but ideation. Memory, the smriti, is but reflected ideation. The world itself is an expansion of consciousness, which is the Chetana Prasara. Just as one dreams long hours in moments, so does time flow in this consciousness. The universe of your husband exists in the ideation of a departed Brahmin named Vasishtha. Not me, another of same name. Vasishtha is telling no this story. So when Saraswati Mata tells Leela that the universe of your husband exists in the ideation of a, look at the profundity of this projection. It exists in the ideation of a departed Brahmin named Vasishtha, O Rama. It is not me, this Vasishtha, but another Vasishtha of the same name, who desired princely life, that Vasishtha. Through his ideation of leading a princely life, the cosmos of his mind started manifesting. Yat bhavan tad bhavati, that we speak about, right? And you, my dear Leela, Saraswati Amma is telling, you as Arundhati shared the life with him. 8 days of earthly time appeared as 60,000 years of ideation. This is not fantasy. If you understand the reality of this, you are home. Leela again asked, how can this be possible, O my dear mother? And the goddess said, all is ideational. Consciousness alone is real. Gross bodies and forms vanish when the subtle is realized. Understand what I'm saying? As in dreams where seen and sight exist in mind, so is the universe. The gross, the sthula, arises from firm ideation, a very firm ideation that you hold on to it. And the subtle sukshma is realized by abandoning grossness and entering into the consciousness. So the subtleties of Chidakasha, the mental projections, allow you to witness universe of others' ideations. That is how you look at me. That is how your ideations create an impact within you as mine. Remember this. So the Atma cannot be attained by boon or curse. It is realized through a discipline, what we call as sadhana, and what we call as the chitta nirodha, that is yoga. Leela then attained complete detachment to Vairagya because she has shown her all the realms. Jagannatha held Leela's hand and taken along all the realms, crossing the galaxies. And then Leela attained the complete detachment, the Vairagya, and merged into the subtle perceiving universe without effort. She understood the Atma alone is pervasive. Ideation, vikara, dilutes those attached to the forms. As rope dispels a snake illusion, the Rajasarpa Bhranti, contemplation dispels a delusion. Perfect detachment eliminates desires. The peaceful mind yields liberation. Now the goddess instructed the discipline of the Atma. It includes constant remembrance of the Atma, this Smaranam, utterance of the Atma, Ucharanam, contemplation of Atma, the Dhyanam, and the breath synchronized remembrance, Pranayama Smaranam, Hamsa Japam, reflection on Atmic state, that is Vichara, contemplation. Practice these with detachment and firmness, and the supreme consciousness will be realized, my dear Leela. Seekers of the Brahma Tattva, the absolute truth, may be high, medium, or beginners, but all are progressing towards the Atma Jnana only. And Leela, having realized Atma, abandoned all ideations, merged into Chidakasha, and no longer appeared to her descendants in her previous bodily form, for illusion had vanished. She blessed them from subtle space, with whomever she lived in the gross form, and then she and the goddess soared beyond stellar regions, witnessing creation, dissolution, and transcendence of the forms. And then the goddess explained, while she is being taken along stellar regions, all experience is ideational, born of firm conviction, which is drudha very firm convictions one holds. As the mind conceives, so appears form and time. Memory, bodies, worlds, all these appear because of your own convictions, your own drudha. All are unreal. The only reality is the truth, which is self-established, pervasive, and infinite. And all embodiment is temporary, mere expansion of consciousness as an ideation through mental and physical planes. When you realize this, fear of birth and death vanishes, and the supreme Atmic state will start getting dawn. Thus, O my dear Rama, the worlds are as dreams, the body as illusion, and only Atma remains. Through detachment, contemplation, the wise abide in pure consciousness, my beloved Rama, witnessing all forms and times as manifestations of the Brahma Shakti only, the Shakti of the truth, yet remaining ever established in the self. All that is experienced is the consciousness. All else is ideation. The universe is but a play of consciousness, the Leela. That is why this is called Leela Vruttanta. That which is unreal, yet perceptible to the unenlightened. So to those established in Atma, the entire cosmos is like a dream, manifesting and vanishing, while the seer alone abides untouched, eternal, blissful, and infinite. So now let us get into the question, because there is a connection, a wonderful connection the questioner has established. So we now know to the whatever best extent that you could contemplate, understand. So we need to understand this from the story to the Shastra. What the sages are teaching us, like Vasishtha, mind is the world maker. Remember this. Mind is the maker of the world in front of you, the world that you carry for you. Yoga Vasishtha speaks very uncompromisingly. Remember this. Chitta, which is Chittakasha, the mental space, is the mind staff spun by vasanas, is the loom on which the whole world appears. A desire is not only a wish, it is a seed of space and time. Sathwika desires create brighter heavens, no doubt. Remember what I am going to tell. Sathwika desires, they create brighter heavens, no doubt. Rajas and Tamas desires produce denser realms, no doubt. But remember, but whether silk or iron, a chain is a chain. So that there is a subtle arithmetic, of rebirth here in what sages taught us. Vasana leads to inclination. Every thought, the ideation that you create to do something as sankalpa or vikalpa, it is because of the vasana which creates an inclination in you, which is nothing but the vasana that creates an inclination in you as the vikalpa or whatever, sankalpa, which is nothing but a tendency to experience. You want to experience something. That is the problem. And now what is sankalpa? This sankalpa is nothing but an intentional thought with a charge. It starts shaping the mold. Now prana follows attention, and attention follows desire, and the form follows prana. This is the cycle. Getting me what I am saying? I cannot explain this anymore in a more easy way. When we need to start getting into, when we get into a subject, a new subject, we shall start understanding it at some point in time. So there's an unresolved want. I must be this. I want to have that. I want to fix them. I want to save these. These travel as coding within the causal body, Karana Sharira. When conditions start ripening, it sprouts as a world in front of you. That it sprouts as a world that can fulfill or even frustrate it. Remember this. Fulfilled, it seeks more. This is the problem. Frustrated, it doubles down. Either way, the mind in the Chitta Kasha secures another turn on the wheel. Look at the chain of this strong, elusive Chitta Kasha, the ideation that you are creating to yourselves. Now the question asks something like, but what about Sathwik desire? Sattva is a clarity, a clean window, no doubt. Though a clean window, through a clean window, you see the sun. Only through a clean window. But the window is still a frame. Remember this. The window is still a frame. So, Sattvic desire refines ego. I am talking about the ultimate truth. Not as the beginning seekers. For the beginning seekers who are dumped into the rajas and tamasic gunas, then we first put them into sattva pradhana gunas or desires. So sattvika desire here, as asked in this question, it yet still is a, something that refines the ego. It is still not vanishing the ego. It is not dissolving it. So the Yoga Vasishtha very candidly tells that even the desire for heaven or fame as a yogi or a fame to become a great sadhaka, seeker, a great vidyarthi, for being known as compassionate is still a golden thread or a golden chain. Golden chains, threads are beautiful, but they still stitch you to the garment of becoming. The sages here, while saying all this, they did not say, kill your desire. They did not say so. Because that becomes another violent desire. They know that pretty well. So they started teaching the transmutation. Please remember this. From gross desire to the refined aspiration. From the gross desire to the refined aspiration. From aspiration to the inquiry, the vichara. And from inquiry to the abidance, nishtha. And finally, desire self-liberates in the taste of the self. Remember this. So now, how desire binds? What is the mechanics of this bondage? There is a loop. Remember this. Like sparsha, the contact, leads to memory, the smarana. And that which again leads to sankalpa, the imagined position. And then ragadvesha is the second in the loop. Likes and dislikes we start developing. Which is nothing like, it leads to yatana, striving what we call. And then we start assessing labha and alabha, gain and loss. What if I don't get what I wanted? I feel angry. I start questioning as if I have a valid reason, that which anyway never helps anybody. And then the third in the chain of the loop is, first is sparsha, which leads to smarana and sankalpa. and then it gets connected to the raga dvesha likes and dislikes, which leads to striving like yatna, and labha that leads to gain, calculating what is my gain or what is that I lost. And then finally it goes to the chain of what we call as the mada. Mada means kama krodha lobha moha mada matsarya. Mada means pride. Mada shoka bhaya. This is the third stage, and this keeps. Again it leads to, this mada shoka bhaya leads to sparsha. So what is this mada shoka bhaya? Is a pride, sorrow, fear. It takes us back to the sankalpa, the first from this loop. So even lofty causes can run this loop. I must help, I must fix, I must be of a great service, I must be a yogi, I must be talking, I am a pandita, you are a sunta. Wonderful question, reminding the truths. So even the Sathwik desires, like I must help. What is there wrong in it? I am helping, Guruji. What a wonderful justification. There is still ego. But if I say no for that, if that ego goes with double force, then I say please do it for that moment. I must help, I must fix, I should do charity, I must be recognized as pure. The mind enthrones a role and defends it. Remember this. So the I as role cycles here, even in the Sathwik desire, in the name of being good, demanding words that mirror its script. Remember this. So now the fine print of I deserve this. Let us understand. When you say in this question, I deserve this Sathwik goal, interrogate the I. What the I that you are speaking about? Is the I a separate performer seeking a separate outcome? Is the I transparent instrument of dharma without stickiness? Sticky sattva binds. You shall remember what is sticky sattva, though you name it as the sattva. And the lucid sattva dissolves. So there is something called the addiction to the continuity here. What terrifies the ego is discontinuity, the gap. Remember this. So it starts stringing beads of experience to feel I am continuing. I am never stopped. I continue to be famous. I continue to be a yogi. I continue to be a service provider. I continue to be a volunteer. The Leela narrative here shows continuity. It again is only vasana preservation. Remember this. It is not higher self continuity. True continuity is the unchanging awareness in whose mirror all discontinuous frames appear. Now it is important how desire liberates. Again and again, though it is a Sathwik desire, it shall itself lead to a liberation. What are the alchemies of this awakening? These are the questions that come to the mind. And the great yogis, sages reveal 4 master moves here. The prakriya, there are 4 prakriyas. One is the sublimation. So offer desire upward. Do not suppress, but consecrate. I desire excellence. Wonderful. But don't identify yourself with excellence, that you are excellent. That's going to fade out, at least at the time of death, because the excellence that you are seeking is identified with the body and mind. You are still not, though you think it is Sathwik desire, it is no more Sathwik desire. Just make sure that transform it, oh my mother, Jagannatha. Make this body and mind an instrument of your excellence. Sathwika desire becomes then bhakti. This is the reason why Bhagavad Gita, bhakti, bhakti, bhakti. Even a yogi who might have attained enlightenment, what so-called enlightenment as per the yoga kriyas, Ashtanga yoga, without bhakti, that is not really a yoga. And then, oh my mother, make this body, mind an instrument of thy excellence. Then prana becomes a Shraddha. Then you will not have a justification for all kinds of whims and fancies that you have been living with. When you say that, oh my mother, make this body, mind an instrument of thy excellence, then it results, all the results are left to the Jagannatha's feet. Bondage loosens its grip because ownership is getting thinned here, isn't it so? This is first prakriya. Note down if you want to note down. Then the prakriya of second level of prakriya is inquiry, the vichara. Stand in the fire of questions. Stand in the fire of questions. Don't escape from them. We have all kinds of bravery to ask questions to the world without questioning ourselves. How would it help? Stand in the fire of questions. This is the second level, which I call as the vichara. Who is desiring? Question yourself. Where is the desirous one between two thoughts? Inquire on this. Is the felt lack real or a thought wave? Inquiry does not mutilate desire. Remember this. It sees through it. Unseen desire insists. That which is seen as a thought appearance, it subsides in the seer. Try to understand this. You may not be able to get immediately, but I just cannot always keep on speaking something at a very, very beginning level. That phase is over. We cannot be always living in that space as a false positive notion that we are great seekers. So now the next level is Prakriya 3, I would say. The desensitization, which is Vairagya through Viveka. Please note them down if you think they are really, it matters to you. Contemplate on impermanence. Everything desired is time-bound, even radiant heavens. Forget about this very, very temporal world. In-depth vision drives the stickiness. Remember this. Taste moves from object to the beingness when you are into Vairagya through Viveka. And then finally the Prakriya 4, I would say, that is Nishtha. Remember that Nishtha. You just cannot say that I am not familiar with doing any ritual or sitting kind of things. All that I know is to be just good. How is that helping you? Is it just by your mental notion that, to be good without really being knowing to be how to be good? It can be only possible through Nishtha, which is periods of objectless rest after japa, after inquiry, retune the nervous system, a broken down nervous system, to stillness as default. Remember this. From this center, functional intentions arise without any sense of slavery. Remember this, without any sense of slavery. If I ask someone to go on to the temple and prostrate, it feels slavery. Why should I do it? Without knowing that we have already become slaves to this material world. In the name of freedom. So, now if anybody wants to write down, very quickly I'll give certain practical guidance because this question is very profound, if I have to say again. We need to be concrete. My dear youth, I tell you, your generation lives amidst dopamine storms. Here, I would try to tell you a clear protocol that honors the Shastra while speaking to your life. Do write yourself a small notes. What is the exact desire that is coming up in your mind? Phrase it down. And then apply a threefold filters to these desires. Check the dharma. Does it violate truth or compassion? If yes, you need to drop. No other justification can help you, I tell you this. No other justification will help you. If it lacks truth, dharma, and even compassion, if it lacks, drop it down immediately. You cannot justify your own violence. I say this. And then Shuddhi, the second filter. Does it purify your body and mind, which is like a discipline, learning, or a seva? If yes, sublimate. And then the freedom, moksha. Does it point to a freedom, a silence inquiry? If yes, prioritize it. And the outcome would be, you won't become desireless overnight, remember this, but you'll start becoming transparent. And transparency is liberation in motion, if I have to say. Now, how do you transmute the sattva on the spot? Like when a desire spikes, write it down, pause the motor system with a 3 slow exhalations. You cannot become violent as if, I did great dharma. You are violent for yourself. Forget about dharma that you try to do for something else. Talk to yourself within. It is not mine, but it is thine. Can you do that? You need to. Everybody needs to. And redirect the prana. 108 breaths. This is needed. This earns you life, not just money that keeps you into unrest. And act. Then act. If still relevant, without inner bargaining for result, you act. So this converts stickiness into Shakti. The same energy that would have bound you becomes upward flow, urdhvagati. You need to have bhakti also as solvent here. Take one Ishtadevata like Lalita, Ambika, Ayyappa, Narayana, Shiva, whatever, wherever. That opens your heart. Let every desire be reported to that presence, not to your mind. Not to Chittakasha, take it to Chidakasha. I want this. Oh, my dear mother, you know the core hunger is you. Guide this wave home, back. And then your heart relaxes. And relaxed heart is equal to lower craving amplitude, if I have to say, with a higher clarity. Then Vakshuddhi and Dhyana, this is important. These rituals are not given by fools. They are the gods for us. Speak less, promise less, scroll less, sit more. A 10 minutes of sitting with the simple pointer, be the one to whom the next thought appears. It starts rewiring the loop. And the experience will start showing between two desires, you are already complete. When there is no desire, which means that you are complete. And know that even before another desire arises, next to the previous desire, you are already complete. You will realize that. Be into the seva, the ego thinner. Let not the seva become an ego thicker for you. Let the seva become ego thinner. Serve where you cannot harvest image credit. Remember this. Anonymous acts puncture the subtle ego's need to be the good one. This is antidote to golden chain of sattva. Remember this. In the process, there will be many common confusions we get to. Like you may have a question, if all desires bind, should I become inert? We have a lot of logics, no? Our mind is very intelligent. We get to easily attracted to all negative news. If anybody talks good news, they will not listen to it. There is something that has happened, then we are very curious to go and see what has happened and start talking something nonsense. So many confusions come in the process. A question may arise in yourself that if all desires bind, including sattva desire, should I become inert? Actionless? No. Inertia. Tamas is a heavier chain. Remember this. I'm talking about Karma Yoga of the Bhagavad Gita. Now the teaching is refinement, inquiry and release. Remember this. Then a flowering happens, a blossoming happens, a desire becomes a direction. Direction becomes a devotion, and devotion becomes a dissolution. You may have another confusing question. Then all desires, if they are chains, then can I keep even goals? Wow, 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 wow. Wonderful question. Yes, like a stick used to stir a funeral pyre. Goals are tools you can have. The owner identity is the heat. Hold goals lightly. Let reality be heavy. You may have another confusing question. Is renunciation outward or inward? Outward renunciation has value, no doubt about it, but inward non-clinging is the heart. A householder can be freer than a hermit if possession is absent in the mind. Otherwise, I think I have a house, the value of the house, just to bind our minds further deep into the chain. Conversely, a hermit can be bound to his begging bowl. Remember this. So, let us finally look at anatomy of the Sathwik desire in the question. Take the desire. I want to gain scriptural mastery to help the world. On surface, it looks noble. In the subsurface, check yourself. Is there an uninspected wish to be praised, identified, needed, superior, or indispensable? Offer it at the altar. Amma, make this study your worship. Enforce a result, anonymity. Help where no one knows you helped. And also daily sadhana of neti na iti. Knowledge arises in me. I am not the knower identity. You need to keep on doing this sadhana. And then you will get the sign of purification here. Even if no one listens to you, joy remains. If audience is the oxygen, bondage remains. Remember this. So the Leela vision on relationships in the Leela Vruttanta that I am trying to map to the question. Leela's fear of separation with her husband Padma. It started softening when she saw many lives at once with the grace of Saraswati Mata. From that vantage, love loses clinging. It becomes recognition. My people, the sense of my people, it expands to all beings because the same awareness plays all masks. grief over loss becomes sacred tenderness rather than identity collapse. So in your friendship and unions, notice if attachment says you must fulfill your script and love says I recognize myself as this meaning, this meeting, this. This is different from you. This means this body meeting another body. Not you. You are unchanging awareness. So then desire starts being a seasonal breeze and not the climate by itself. So micro practices, small practices for this modern youth, because this is a profound question. One breath and one mantra. Train attention to precede action. Please remember this. You may have justification for you to act or react, but remember, if it goes in a violence, it is no more a right thing for you to get helped. Sacred pauses after wins and losses. Remember these things. So for this current age, digital sankalpa, what I say, one day a week, no algorithmic feeds, read shastras, not mobile all the time, not gadgets, food and sleep sattva, because heavy body is agitated mind and stickier desires. Remember this. And also the sangha, company, choose friends who remind you of stillness more than of a stimulation. Remember this is what I would say. So many things. Actually, I think the beloved soul in the morning said that if there are no questions, why don't we start doing this sadhana? These are the sadhanas that we could have put into practice, but let us do that when we don't have questions. So finally, it is important that returning to the Leela. Leela means the drama, the truth, the final pointer here. Saraswati did not grant Leela a world where death never occurs. Remember this. She granted vision where death never threatens. The boon was not a modification of appearances, but recognition of substratum. When the substratum is known as your very self, desires may still arise like shafts of sunlight in a clear sky, but they no longer harden into weather systems. So the secret is that Sathwik desires are boats, they are not homes yet. Use them to cross, do not decorate them as palaces. So close your eyes, notice a current desire, name it softly, feel its energy in the chest, the anahatar, the belly, the manipuraka. Now instead of following its story, turn attention to the knower of this desire. This knower, does it have edges, age, urgency? Let this desire glow like a firefly within the wide night of awareness. Say to yourself within that the desire is appearing in me, I am not appearing in it. Rest as the night. Let the firefly blink as it wishes. May Saraswati, Vagdevi, the gentle blade of wisdom, bless you all with the strength to sublimate, the clarity to inquire, and the courage to abide. May your noble energies turn from possessions to presence, from becoming to being. And may you discover so intimately that no doubt survives, no questions arise, that the one who sought freedom was always the freedom in which seeking is already dancing joyfully. Shubham. We started at 7:30 or 7?
7, Guruji.
So we could, as I mentioned to you, This is also still not enough. This has to be repeatedly. This has to be repeatedly contemplated upon. So we will stop here. I am into the Jagannatha space. For the moment, I want to give a pause. Anyway, we have done with, otherwise I would have taken another question for next 15 minutes at least, though we stretch the time, but not today. We'll continue from tomorrow. Sthavaram jangamam vyaptam yatkinchit sacharacharam tatpadam darshitam yena tasmai shri gurave namaha. Chinmayam vyapi yat sarvam trailokyam sacharacharam tatpadam darshitam yena tasmai shri gurave namaha. Jnana shakti samarudhaha tatvamala vibhushitaha bhukti mukti pradata cha tasmai shri gurave namaha. Aneka janma samprapta karma bandha vidahine atmajnana pradanena tasmai shri gurave namaha. Soshanam bhavasindhoscha jnapanam sarasampadaha guroh padodakam samyak tasmai shri gurave namaha. Naguroradhikam tattvam naguroradhikam tapaha tatvajnanat param nasti tasmai shri gurave namaha. Mannadha shri jagannatha madguruh shri jagadguruh madatma sarvabhutatma tasmai shri gurave namaha. Gururadiranadischa guruh paramadaivatam guroh parataram nasti tasmai shri gurave namaha. Brahmanandam paramasukhadam kevalam jnanamurtim dvandvatitam gaganasudrisham tattvamasyadilaksham ekam nityam vimalam achalam sarvadhi sakshi bhutam bhavatitam trigunarahitam sadguruntam namami. Tvameva mata cha pita tvameva bandhuscha sakha tvameva vidya dravinam tvameva sarvam mama deva tvameva sarvam mama deva. Oh, the radiant youth, you are the dawn in a world that yearns for light. Within you burns a fire not meant to be hidden, the fire of courage, the fire of compassion, and the fire of purpose. Do not be disheartened by the weight of the world. It is not your burden to carry it alone, but your opportunity to illuminate it. Let your thoughts be noble, your words be healing, and your actions be just. The world needs not only your strength, but your sincerity, not only your ambition, but your kindness and compassion. You are not born merely to fit in, but to lift, to shape, and to awaken. So rise with clarity, walk with humility, speak with the truth, and love without fear. And let no one convince you that your light is too small to matter. Shine on, oh, the radiant youth. Oh, the radiant youth.